Okay, Charlie, Coach Lisa here. The first thing I want to do is I want to go over your stance and how you set up in the box. So basically, we'll start just about at this position. One thing that you did really well was you looked at your knuckles to make sure that the little baby knuckles were close to being lined up or lined up. So excellent job. I do like how high your hands are. I think that's a great starting position. And I also really like that your back shoulder is higher than your front shoulder. A lot of players your age start with the opposite and they'll get a lot of pop-ups. So the top half is really, really solid. I also like how your vision straight onto the pitcher. So that's great. The bottom half. I do want to fix one thing with the bottom half. Now, you really want a capital A in your stance position. If your weight is too much on one side, what's going to happen is all of that weight on that back side is going to be preloaded. So what happens there is it builds up a lot of power, a lot of energy, but it's not being utilized just yet. So if you sit in a squat too long, or if you're sitting in your load too long, all of that built up power and energy is just sitting and being released as heat in your backside. So what I would like for you to do on your bottom half is definitely just have more of a neutral base. And then when you do go back to your load, you do that right as you're about to go and attack the ball. So it's a perfect timing of back to forward. All right, and that won't have you sitting back there and losing power. That's called the amortization phase. Fancy word of saying you're sitting in one position too long and you're losing power. Okay. Next, what I want to do is I want to go right ahead to you attacking the ball. The bottom half. Let's focus on that. Now, I love your load on the backside. I think it's great. I would try to squat a little bit more inside the sneaker. So a good way to get to that position was maybe start with a little bit of a wider base. All right, and then I would say if you can just get your hip inside your back sneaker, you'll feel it more in your tush. So you'll use your backside muscle, your tush muscle. You're going to use that muscle to load up as well. The bigger the load with perfect timing, the better. Next, let's go into that weight transfer. Only on the bottom half. Now, one thing that you do really well is if you notice your hip, you do a great job of throwing that forward, all right? And you do a great job of staying on that belt buckle line, and it's excellent. I like how you do that. But we do have to add one thing to your swing. We have to add your leg lift, okay? Now, what is your leg lift? What I want you to do here is I want you to lift up your leg and bring your knee slightly inwards, okay? What's going to happen with that is that's going to stack more weight on this back side, on that load up. So all you're going to do is you're going to lift up that front foot with your knee a little bit closer to your back knee, and it could be lined up perfectly with your belly button when you lift it. That'll give you an additional weight, additional stacked weight on the back side. Fancy way of saying you'll be more of an eccentric load up on your back side. Now, you do have your foot at a 45-degree angle, and that's what you want. But we have to have a step. We have to have a stride. So, for instance, what I would love for you to do, and I'll give you the training drills to do it. Here, I would love for the leg lift to occur. Okay, you lift up your foot a little bit, stack some weight, and it's excellent with timing. Next, when you do step and stride, what that's going to do, it's going to allow that back side, your back leg, your back load up to be released. Say you're kind of small here, and it's forcing that front knee to be bent. Well, if you did stride forward to right about there, that front knee would be a lot more balanced. You wouldn't have such a sinking in it. And you'll be able to really release this back side so that you'll drive through the ball versus squishing the bug. Your front leg. Now, as you're going to attack the ball, what should happen here is that front leg should be posted up. Okay, so it should be straight. You'll notice a lot of the players, the best players in the game, will almost have their knee go backwards at this point. And what that does is that means that everything from this back side is not released because of a bent knee. That will lock it in, that load up and that transfer. And the only release of the energy can be the barrel going through the ball. So kind of like, I call it a post up. And what happens is you gather all your weight, and at the barrel to ball face, you post up that front leg, so you lock it. Shouldn't be bent here. This will be able to happen when you do stride forward more, and you won't be so crammed and small on your bottom half. So leg lift and a stride, nice and wide. Because you're a little small here and you couldn't stride on this swing, you didn't stride on this swing, I want you to pay attention to your back foot. All right? Now, that back foot should be driving, almost leaving the ground or dragging forward at this point. You're at barrel to ball contact, and right now everything that you just built up here has to get thrown through the ball and releasing that energy. That's called the concentric release. But because you're small in your stride, and because you couldn't open up and release it, you're going to notice that the only thing that you could do with this back foot is just twist and leave all of that beautiful power that you loaded up on the back side just back. But what I would have loved to see is just that coming forward to a point that you feel like you're hitting with your bottom half and your back leg. That helps players a lot. Hit with the bottom half, hit with the bottom half. Okay? Let's fast forward. We'll check out the next one. Only the bottom half. I don't like to overwhelm. And here goes your load. I would say here, just be careful. Remember that back foot. You want it inside that back sneaker. And this is where that leg lift would be. And this is where that stride would be. And you almost go ahead and stride, but you left it there. You went to your heel coming up and then planting it right down. Again, this is where your leg lift will be, and your stride will take place to allow this backside to release. And in a sense, use the ground. Push off the ground to go forward. So you'll be able to post up. You know what that means now. At this phase, that leg would be able to be locked, so you can throw everything that you've built through the ball. And then this backside here will drive. And you would hit more with everything that you've just loaded up. All right, so definitely a leg lift. Stack your weight more. It's great for timing. And kick out that front foot. It could be a front kick. We call it a front kick, very similar to MMA. Throw that weight, and then the backside will release. Other than that, bottom half is pretty solid considering your age and considering that you are driving your foot and your backside with a nice full rotation. I just want to see a little bit more of that forward motion, wider base, everything bigger on the backside. All right, so now we're going to focus on Charlie's core and her upper half. We already talked about the bottom, but I wanted to do the core and the upper half with the toss from the front. So basically what we have here is we already know about the bottom. I want her to leg lift here. I want her to stride, to throw her weight. The first motion that she does with her top half is a downwards motion. All right, so in easier terms, what we want at this point, we want Charlie's front foot to be kicked out in her stride, okay, to clear up that back side. This also will prevent a lot of that crunching downwards position and motion. And she won't be able to keep her hands back and solid. So when Charlie strides here, the knob of her bat should still be lined up with her back foot. This is going to really tighten up her belly, her core, her upper half is all going to be loaded. So there's other loads here. We have our core being loaded, our upper half being loaded when she strides forward. Also, when she strides forward, she's not going to feel kind of tight and restricted, forcing her to go downwards. But she does actually a really good job of keeping the barrel, the bat close to her deltoid area in this position. I definitely want to see her elbow in more of an L shape as she goes to attack the ball, and not too small and close to her. At this point, her backside arm is in what's called that V skipping rock slot. I would love to see that front arm lead more for a better bat whip. Now, if you can see here, she's small from the bottom half, so that affects really everything else. at contact, again, that bottom half is really restricted. And her timing is a little bit, I would say, too early. So you want that ball to get deeper in the zone. If the ball did get deeper in the zone, what's going to happen? She would make that contact right about here. What's going to happen is she'll be able to carry that ball more on about a 20 to 25 degree launch angle. Now, after she hits the ball, obviously, this is one of those hits. She got on top of it a little bit, pushed it downwards. She wants to carry and stick that bat to the ball, stick to it and carry it upwards through the zone. Her backside would clear up with that stride that we discussed as well. So here, you're all set up, Charlie. You're about to go attack the ball. Okay, we already talked bottom half. I do like how you really work hard to keep that bat close to you. I would love to see this front elbow lead more, like I said, so that your back elbow is not being pulled in front of the knob much. So that's called bat drag, and a lot of players your age tend to do that. You want to lead with that front as much as possible. And then what will happen is your back elbow will be in a nice slot here. And that front elbow will look like you're telling the time. It'll be in an L position. So I would try to pull more with that front and have an L and then your V. Okay, to avoid the bat drag and create a good bat leg as you progress through your swing. Again, as we get to our contact here, or I don't even like to call it contact, I call it barrel to ball. You're a little crammed here, so you're a little tight. At this point, what I would love to see as you do approach barrel to ball is more of a home plate attack to the position of the ball. All right, so you can see you pulled out a little bit with that front arm pulling out towards the dugout behind you. Your elbow is pretty forward and not in a tight, secure slot, letting the bat follow. And at this point, you don't have much power on the ball because you're only really hitting the ball with just your back arm here. You see your weight's all back there. So what I would love for you to do is, number one, let's get the ball set up back in the zone a little bit more. All right, let's do that so you can carry that ball more. When we get our stride going, it'll be a lot better. But I would love to see more of that home plate position with your body as you are barrel to ball face. I do love how your nose is in that pitch. That's excellent. And then when you do go and carry that ball, here's your barrel to ball face. Let's definitely get you more upright with that wider stride, wider base. You'll be able to literally transfer your weight through the hit. Now, this launch angle is pretty good. We want to get about 25. All right. I would try to extend more with those arms. So I would definitely try to carry that ball and lock in as much as possible. And this is the part that we're going to fix, Charlie. We're going to bring this bat upwards on an upwards path to carry that ball upwards. And what's going to happen here is you're going to avoid that drop down. Your bat wants to be over that shoulder. All right, so you want to make sure that when you do get to barrel to ball, you carry, you finish up and over your shoulder for a nice long finish. And then you'll avoid the pull out. You'll avoid the bat coming around your body here. And it'll be able to kind of air out your swing, as I like to call it. Overall, solid swing, Charlie. We got some things to fix, but that's exactly where we start to learn. We're going to start throwing that back weight. We're going to start striding wider. Everything's going to be bigger. This backside's going to go forward. Your carry's going to be upwards more. Your finish is going to be upwards. And we're going to be a lot more explosive with your swing. And then we'll revisit it in a couple months. But great job. Great dedication. Let's target one area to learn at a time. Good job.
Hey Charlie, Coach Lisa here. I'm going to give you a couple of drills to help you get this swing that I discussed in your video and that I want to see you achieve by the time that you do another analysis with me, okay? So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to make sure that we start to use our bottom half more, okay? So you're gonna need your bat, you're gonna need a tee. I want you to line up the tee by your belly button. This is a very, very important drill to teach the bottom half and about this step that I talked to you about. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure the bottom half is activated. We're using that bottom half. Ball is gonna be lined up to our belly button, and I would say just about a hand size, very close. Feet a little bit wider than what your stance was. I want a nice solid base from you. And again, you're not starting here. You're starting neutral, okay? You're gonna put the bat behind your back. I wanna see your nails facing outwards here, so you have control. What you're gonna do is you're gonna load. So when you load, I want you to make sure that you're not loading past your back sneaker anymore. And you're gonna stick out your tush a little bit, and you're gonna feel a squat right here. It's gonna feel like a bigger load than you've ever had before, okay? So do that a couple times. So you're neutral, load, neutral, load, neutral, load. Now, the next thing I want you to do is what's called the leg lift. And that's what we talked about. So what I want you to do for this specific drill, to learn the leg lift and feel it, is I want you to literally bring your knee to be lined up with your belly button. And when you do that, make sure that you don't dip backwards, and we're still nice and strong, okay? So load, lift, load, lift, load, lift. Need a belly button, need a belly, and you'll feel a big burn in your backside because you're really loading up that backside, okay? Next, what I want you to do is progress to the load, lift, stride. So, load, lift, stride. Load, lift, stride. And when you stride, I want your foot at a nice 45-degree angle. That'll tell you what that means. Load, lift, stride. Load, lift, stride. Load, lift, stride. After you start to get those steps correctly, without rushing right into the drill, you could progress to an actual drive, it's called, okay? Now, when you stride, I want you to stride wider than how you started. So I would say about a sneaker size wider than how you started. So use some measuring tape and measure out about how wide your stride will be, and train for that every single time. So what you're gonna do now is you're gonna load, lift, stride, drive. Now, your biggest thing that I want you to do is understand that now that you kind of are giving yourself some room to drive, your back foot will be upwards versus all the way down there where it was. If you're so low to the ground, you're not going to be able to also fully rotate. Think about a ballerina. When you have a ballerina and she's really spinning around on that leg, she's not bent and low, because then she won't be able to rotate around it. So this is like your drive. You gotta be upwards on that backside so you can fully throw your whole body, okay? So we'll do that again. And the most important thing is to learn each step and do it correctly. Load, load, load. Load, lift. Load, lift. Load, lift, stride. Load, lift, stride. Now we drive. Load, lift, stride, drive. And keep your head in the zone nice and tight. The next drill that I want you to do, Charlie, it's a little tough, but I think you can do it. And there's two versions of this. Remember I talked to you about carrying the ball more? Well, this is what it's gonna help. When you get to your barrel to ball, okay? Let's just get all set up. When you're barrel to ball, take note of my body. You are kind of going downwards, 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 and finishing here. But what I want you to do is I want you to carry that ball. Dad will show you what it is to be between 22, 25 degrees, okay? He'll show you what that means. Now I want you to carry the ball correctly so that it passes a tee that's in front of you and doesn't go down and hit that tee. You want to carry and sail past it. And now that cleared here, and now I was nice and wide with my base, and I was able to get here, carry, 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 and finish over, versus what you were doing here, okay? So again, never a level swing, never a downward swing. Let the barrel get to that ball and carry, okay? Use that bottom half more. Let's start first with the bottom half and fixing that, and then we'll look at it again after you do some drills with that, because we have to instill a little bit of a wider base, a little more neutral, better load inside that back foot, a better leg lift, stack, 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 throw, and then we'll talk more about the hand staying back. So that's the bottom half. With the ball and the carry itself, I need you to hit the ball, carry, and get it over your shoulder. Okay, then we can progress to other stuff. I just don't want to overwhelm you right now, but really good job. Your swing is there, you have so much potential, you're so young, and the fact that you're really looking to get better is amazing, and I personally love that. So great job, keep it up, and I hopefully will see another video from you in the future. Make me proud, good job.